My name is Candie Printz. I was born in El Paso, Texas, but I was raised in Corpus Christi, Texas. Probably when I was about 12 or 13, I dropped out of school. We had some, financial issues and other things going on at home, and so I tried to homeschool myself for a while. But what, you're 12, 13, how does that work, and so that didn't go too well. And once I became of age to work, I started working 2 jobs in the mall. I remember I worked at Kirkland's, and then I would finish that shift and I'd go eat, and then I would go do my shift at the candle booth. And so I would open the mall and then close. And so kind of had some rough times throughout my childhood where my father ended up leaving us, and it was just my mother and I kind of living in a rundown trailer or whatever. And so here I am, like 16, working 2 jobs. I dropped out of school, and then my aunt, who is an educator in El Paso, Texas, reached out to me and said, I heard that my brother had left you guys. Why don't you come move to El Paso, and I can help you get a GED. And so I was like, thanks, but no thanks, you're the holiday aunt. Like, that's cool. I mean, I see you at Christmas, but that's weird. And so I remember going to bed that evening and then thinking, I'm going to wake up and go to my 2 jobs again, and this is going to be my life forever. And my friends are going to prom and field trips, and they're talking about all the stuff they're learning, and you don't realize how important education is until you don't have it. And then you feel left out. Kids complain about being in school, but I think it's a privilege to have that. And so I don't regret going through that when I was younger, because I think it made me appreciate education, the value of education. I remember trying to get my GED night classes when I was 16, and I'd go work, and then I'd go take GED, and then I'd come home, and it was just a struggle. And so I thought back to my aunt making that offer, and so I called her and I said, you know what? I changed my mind. And she goes, buy your plane ticket. And I was like, okay, but I'm just gonna get my GED, and then I'm gonna go back home. And so, and then GED turned into, why don't you just stay for 1 semester of college, EPCC. And so, and then that turned into a year, and then that turned into to associates, and then I ended up transferring to UTEP and getting my bachelor's, and then I just, I didn't go back. And so I still keep, good close contact with my family in Corpus, but I just made my home in El Paso. And my aunt who took me in has since retired from education and moved, to the country to enjoy her retirement. But that is how I ended up in El Paso. I mean, I guess that it's true. You leave and you always come back. And so that's how I ended up back in El Paso, and I soon thereafter went into education. And so I was terrified of public speaking, but you get over that real quick when you have to talk to a bunch of high schoolers every day. So I've taught high school art for 15 years in Socorro ISD at El Dorado High School. It's been a journey. I mean, there's been a lot of great things that have come out of that. And I just recently in February got promoted to Assistant Director of Fine Arts for Socorro ISD. So although I miss the kids, I feel like I have the ability to have greater impact by helping teachers that are just coming out from college, and maybe even getting grants, or helping with professional development, and just making our district and our programs as strong as it can be. And I feel like I can get to the kids that way too, and I still get my kid fix. Like, I can still go in and drop in and do lessons and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of how I ended up where I am now. A little bit more about me would be, I think from a young age, I think it was my mother's influence. I am very, very passionate about the environment and animals. And it's just, I think it goes back to being compassionate, especially for things that may be weaker or smaller than you. And I think I just hate when I hear about abuse cases or anything like that, because I think it takes somebody who's a lot stronger to be compassionate for those that are weaker, or animals or anything like that. And so my mom taught me that for sure. I'm a horrible. I'm a hoarder of animals and things. I mean, I think it's just natural. Art people are a little bit hoarders. Yeah, so I end up doing fostering. I'm just gonna keep him awake. And it's like, nobody else is gonna love him like I love him, so he's gonna stay with me. And then, yeah, my husband, he tolerates a lot for me. But, so we currently have 4 dogs. All of them have been from, you know, either rescues or they were supposed to be temporary fosters, and so their foster fails. So I've got 3 big dogs, and then a fish, and then, you know, any rescues that I do of the house, insects that I'm like, don't kill it. I'm married to a wonderful man, Tony Duenas. He's a videographer. He also does a lot of stuff with, you know, recordings for sound and music, and he's just a gem. And I'm lucky to have met him several years ago, and we've been together going on year 3 married, but dating year 9 and knowing each other probably year 18 to 20. Yeah, Tony Duenas is awesome. And so what a great partnership for him to be with me, because I have all these crazy ideas and he tolerates them. But it's like, I always want to do stuff for the community, but with the addition of his videography skills, we can really make these dreams come to life, and we can share them with the community, because how do people be a part of something if they don't know what's happening? And so, you know, going back to whenever I was at El Dorado High School with my kids, my art club kids, we saw that there was a great need for cleaning up the desert, the Chihuahuan Desert. And so if you don't know where El Dorado is, it's kind of out on the outskirts of El Paso. It's out in the boonies. But there was a lot of development coming, and a lot of the trash and debris was blowing into the once pristine desert. And the kids were just noticing it and kind of disgusted with it. Being art kids, I think they see things a little differently. And so at the art club meeting, they were saying, you know, wouldn't it be cool if we collected all this trash into this giant trash monster, like a sculpture, and we put a plaque in it. So this was made out of, you know, 500,000 pieces of trash in your own backyard. And so that was really great to me that the kids were thinking about, you know, A, how can we clean up the community? We see a need. And then how can we use art for like advocacy? How can we advocate for, you know, the betterment of the community and cleaning up this garbage, literal garbage? And so I was like, oh my God, that's such a great idea. And then because I'm crazy and I think I have so much free time, I took a second job to my teaching job, which was greeting cards. I would restock greeting cards at different locations, and one of them was Barnes & Noble. And I saw this little flyer with an apple on it, so I knew it was for a teacher. And so it said, you know, this is a contest for teachers to propose something that's gonna better the community. And so I thought back to when those kids had that suggestion, and so I didn't even look at what the prize was. I just entered. And so I kind of twisted the pitch a little bit and said, we're gonna adopt a highway, we're gonna clean up the trash. So that was part 1, was the cleanup. Part 2 was, what do we do with the trash? So I don't want it to go to the landfill, so why don't we teach the community how to turn this trash into art? So we did community workshops. And then the 3rd component is, okay, now they made this art, is it just go in the closet? So we said, no, let's do a region-wide art competition, Metamorphosis Trash to Treasure, where El Paso, Las Cruces, and Juarez can actually showcase the things they've made. And so then it becomes this educational component about, oh my gosh, like A, we can't believe how much stuff they found in the desert, but B, look at what it can be repurposed for. And so I pitched it, and I forgot about it, and 9 months later I got an email saying, congratulations, you're the sole winner in the nation. The grand prize is Chelsea Clinton coming to your school in 2 weeks to do a kickoff event. And I was like, what the frick? Like, I was like, wait, the Chelsea Clinton? And I went back to the flyer and I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know. And so we won. And so, and then here comes Chelsea Clinton, and the kids just went in overdrive preparing for it. I think I didn't sleep for 4 days prior. But to have this happen, and these high school kids ran this, like, I mean, we had to come up with a website, a sponsorship packet, inviting sponsors, a flyer, like a PowerPoint. We had to come up with everything. And that was the first taste of what was to come later, which is going on now. Is it ended up being this club called It's Your World Project, and the school even let me create a class for it. And she came and she said, "This is amazing. I want to come back and see the final product." And so she came back a year later. So she came twice to do the kickoff, but she loved it so much she wanted to come back to see the exhibition, at the end. And for a whole year, the kids and I, we hustled. And opening day, we had over 1,000 people come to the reception. Chelsea Clinton came back and she met every single one of the artists one at a time. We got amazing sponsors from it, and then we had, I think, over 600 submissions for pieces, and we had to narrow it down to about 200. And then came Trash to Treasure. We're on year 5 now. What ended up happening is the kids were graduating and they were so in love with this project, so they kept trying to come back. And I was like, "You guys can't be creepers coming back to the school. Like, you try to leave all the time and you want to graduate, but then you keep coming back." So I had to tell them, you can help to some degree, but you can't hang out here all the time. And so what ended up happening is we just saw the need for a nonprofit. And so as a result of It's Your World Project, the kids who are graduating and the parents and the community members that wanted to be a part of it, we decided to turn it into a nonprofit called Green Hope Project. And so, it's like the big sister group to the It's Your World Project, little sister group. And so, here we are a year and a few months in, and we do have a pretty strong nonprofit. We're doing a lot of crazy things, really good things, I think. The advice and words of wisdom that I would give to my 17-year-old self would be to definitely not give up or be so hard on yourself, and don't let any opportunities pass you by. Because I think there's a lot to be said for, experiencing different things and not being so one-tracked. And so whether it be volunteering with other organizations, even spending more time with family and things like that, it's just moments go by so quickly. And I think it sounds so cliche, but we really do have to savor everything, because, gosh, look at COVID right now. Look at 2020 sucks. But look at that. And you think back to the other years that you thought those years sucked. Look at now. I should have appreciated some of the stuff that, for example, not wearing a face mask or, whatever. By the way, you should wear a face mask, help your community. But I'm just saying, you never know what you're missing. And so I think, that's advice I would even give to my current students and my kids, is that, if you have an opportunity, take it, just to experience things. Gosh, don't always watch TV and, stay on the computer all the time. Travel. I think some words of wisdom that I can share with other women about living their best lives is, obviously we see the world differently than the men, because we encounter things differently than men. It's just how it is. I'm sure culture to culture it varies, but within America, don't ever be apologetic about trying to advance. Don't ever feel like I shouldn't, speak up or complain because I'm going to be labeled as a whiny woman or whatever. You have a voice, and your concerns and your feelings are always valid, because if it bothers you, then it's valid. And strive to be what you wish to be. Everybody's got different goals and aims, but don't let anybody ever hold you back because of gender, race, anything. You need to do what makes you happy, and you should never be ashamed for feeling like, you deserve it. What has been an aha or eureka moment in my life? I think there's been so many, but it goes back to you doing what you want to make you happy, doing what you need to do to make you happy. And for me, I think that, you know, maybe from a young age you think it's to acquire wealth, or it's to, you know, be whatever successful is. But I found that the thing that makes me the most happy after I've evaluated a lot of things is that when I'm helping others, I'm happy. I mean, there's no great joy being at the top alone, you know? And I think if I can help animals, if I can help the environment, if I can help my community members, if I can help my family, and I see that they are happy, I in turn am happy. And that's, giving back is really, really important, because if you're not in this world to better it, I mean, what's the purpose? Is it just to watch Netflix all day? Is it just to like stay home? Like, what is it if you're not helping? If I had the opportunity to sit and speak with one person, it would be Siddhartha. It would be Buddha. I know. I love my Buddhist brothers and sisters. They're so sweet. But I think just because of his teachings, I mean, it's so similar to like Jesus Christ and like Gandhi and Martin Luther King, and they all have the same message. And it goes back to my aha moment of like, if you're not walking this earth to help your fellow animals, plants, men, women, whatever, then why? Like, why would you not want this experience, this short experience you have, to be the best it can be for everyone? And I would really, gosh, I would just love to sit down and hammer the Dalai Lama and just like feel that love. It just, you know how there's some people that you meet and they just give off this presence and you're like, I don't know you, but I just want to hug you. And you just make me like revitalized. When I leave, I just want to be a better person because of you. And I think that's the beauty of like children too, like, because they make you want to be the best you because you want to teach them that. I think I feel that from like the Dalai Lama, and I feel that from like, you know, Buddha and all that. And so, yeah. There's several things that I would like to accomplish or witness in this lifetime. One being that I really want the tables to turn as far as environmentalism and climate change and all this, like with this plastic pollution. And I can hardly bear to watch the news because it's just so overwhelming about what's going on. And I wish there weren't so much greed and selfishness in the world, because I just think, gosh, it doesn't have to be like this. And so I really want to witness one of these young people that are up and coming to be an inventor and just shift the paradigm. I just want to see it. I want to see it change before I die. I want to see there be more compassion. And there are some countries that I witnessed that in, that's their goal. And I think that's admirable as a collective group, that is their mission. And I feel like we've gotten so far off track with that with so many countries. And it's just crazy, because if those human rights and those basic necessities, whether it be land, water, food, you know, all that, and becoming accessible, you would see that if you start from those basic things, everything else will fall into place. Crime rates would change, because if you're feeding your people, they don't have to steal to eat. If you're treating your people with compassion, they don't act out. It's like, you know, if you have a kid and they're being neglected, they act out for attention. It's the same in society, right? If those people are being neglected and they're not being appreciated, then there's gonna be acting out. It's human nature. And so if you start with those basic necessities, you're gonna see that it's just gonna fall into place, and you won't need to invest in prisons, and you won't need to invest in, you know, all these other programs that are trying to feed people. If you just do the basic needs and just be smart about it. I want somebody to change this. And, you know, that's what I think the goal is education for me and our groups. But I want to witness that. And I think we're on the brink of it. The world can only go so long before it, you know, those things will break, and there's going to be a shift. You know, it has to happen. I also want to see the aurora borealis. I want to go see the northern lights. It's kind of on a different scale, but I think I would like to do a lot more nature and travel more and just be around those amazing, like, God, I want to see the Milky Way. We live in a place where you have light pollution and you can't see the Milky Way. I need to go to Wales. That's what I want to do. Yeah. One place that I would like to go to and just stay forever is New Zealand. That's where my husband and I went on our honeymoon. It's just, I mean, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. I'm a nerd. But it's just because there's so much undisturbed nature there, I think. I mean, there's waterfalls, you've got forests, you've got, coastal areas, you've got, it's kind of similar to El Paso because there's Texas, there's so much different landscape, but it's got so much nature. The culture there is good. It just, I don't know, it's got a cool vibe, but New Zealand would be my place. That's my jam. A quote that inspires me, it's from Buddha, and so it says, "Judge nothing, you will be happy. Forgive everything, you will be happier. Love everything, you will be the happiest." Currently on my reading list, although I have not started it yet, but I do have it on my list, and I heard this woman when I was driving in the morning, you know how they do the NPR interviews or whatever, and it's this author that she writes fiction, nonfiction, but she on the side was doing poems just for herself, and she read one of the poems on air. And I'm not drawn to poetry except for like Leaves of Grass and stuff like that, but gosh, it was just beautiful, and so I thought I'm gonna get that book. And so it's called How to Fly in 10,000 Easy Lessons, and it's by Barbara Kingsolver. Some music that has been on my playlist lately, or that has been inspiring me. Genres, like I mentioned, have ranged from country to reggae to punk to just 80s, 90s, whatever. But I've been looping, and for some reason Nathaniel Ratliff, and there's just something about his new album. I mean, he's kind of addressing some of the stuff that's going on lately, but he's kind of got like a bluesy but country kind of feel. But definitely Nathaniel, he's my boy right now. So as far as a particular song with Nathaniel Ratliff, there's one song, Hey Mama, and the video is amazing, but he's paying tribute to his mother and all the struggles that she's gone through to help him. But the song, that was 2018, but there's one that he did in 2020 right now, and it's called Time Stands, and it reads like poetry. If you just read the lyrics, it's talking about all the greed and injustice and everything that's going on right now, but his perspective of it in the music video is just beautiful. My life as a woman is multi-dimensional for sure. There's been a lot of things that have made me who I am, and there's a lot of layers to me. What I love about El Paso is the community, and I don't mean that as like, oh, it's just community, but like the community as far as like the family of it, the family aspect of it. And El Paso is unlike any other place that I've been as far as how much they love their city, and they love each other, and they'll support each other. I believe El Paso can be more inviting by addressing and being at the forefront of some of the issues that are plaguing the world right now, whether it be racial injustice or environmental issues and concerns. We're on that track, but I think we can do better. What the world needs now is not just compassion, but action. Because you can have compassion, but do nothing about it, and then there's not going to be any change. And so I think rather than thinking and knowing what needs to be done for all the different issues that are going on in the world, I think you should be a part of that. So I think what the world needs now is more people to stop thinking about it and doing it. A gem or jewel that I feel like everybody should see within El Paso, or the region of El Paso. Rio Bosque is really amazing, and I think a lot of people don't realize we have wetlands in the desert, and they should go check it out because there's a lot of amazing wildlife and birds and migratory animals that go there. And it's just weird to think we have wetlands in a desert. And so Rio Bosque is kind of unusual. And I also think out at Waco Tanks, it's pretty amazing. I know it's kind of the outskirts of El Paso, but there's a lot of rock climbing, and the tanks are just really cool because there's a lot of biodiversity. There's a lot of artwork in the caves and things like that I think people should check out. So a couple things that we're trying to make happen within El Paso, Texas and our region, and by default inspiring the rest of the world, the nonprofit Green Hope Project. We do have a lot of events and initiatives that are on our plate. You can go to www.greenhopeproject.org to see them, but some of which are bringing an artist to El Paso from Lisbon, Portugal. His name is Bardalo II, to do a recycled art, kind of like a trash mural. It sounds horrible, but when you see them online, they're amazing. Go check them out. We also have an art competition coming up that we're promoting. The deadline is January the 2nd, 2021, and it's called Racial Harmony. And there's so much going on in the world right now with, inequality, and we're trying to address that. And so we are looking for people in the community or the area to submit art pieces addressing the theme of racial harmony. And so you can go check that out as well. We do have desert cleanups most weekends, so if anybody would like to help us with that. And I have many other initiatives, but check out the website. There's lots we're trying to do as far as curriculum and environmental education in the arts. So we do focus on art education and environmentalism with Green Hope Project. My personal message to El Paso is thank you for taking me back in when I left you when I was a child, and I came back and you embraced me with open arms, you educated me, you surrounded me with amazing people, and you introduced me to my wonderful husband, and you showed me that there's a lot of amazing people in the city that want to see the same change that I do with Green Hope Project. And so thank you, El Paso.